All right. Let's get this out of the way right off the top. Welcome to the Pats Interference Podcast. Part of the voracious, valorous, venerable,
yes,
and unbelievably vain CLNS Media Network.
John Zanis, that resembles him.
It's mostly due to us two. Andrew Callahan and Mike Giardi hanging out on might be the best Victory Monday. The best Victory Mike Giardi Monday we have of the entire season. Again, Patriots 23, Bills 20. We do not have beers here today. Normally we share a drink, we hang out, we talk all the film, we go through everything. We are punch drunk as it is. I went to bed at 5:30 watching some of this film, writing off of that. You were stuck at the airport how long today?
Too long. And I made it to like 3:30 last night. So yeah, just was it. I mean, it's the trip, the night games. They kill you. They kill you. You got to turn around. I already feel like I'm behind for the week, So we're like,
I don't know. Not this one. I'm ready, baby. I mean, I'll be ready for some
game.
beers.
Yes, but the next one.
So last week I opened talking about how big is this blowout. They trashed Carolina. It's 42-13, and they've got playoff potential. Will they fulfill it? Well. What happened at Buffalo obviously was bigger, and I'm trying to land on how big this is because you get terms like playoff contender already thrown out, and it's early October, and people be like, "Wow, 12-5's on the table," and I just want to look and go, and this might sound corny. This team, for the first time in 4 years, winning a game like that, the best game of Drake Maye's career, first game-winning drive, biggest upset, really in years, gives you a reason to believe, right? Like, I started doing this job and get so analytical. We're going to do the X's and O's we're going to do here today, and the plays and the rules and all this different stuff, but you take the emotion out of it. The fact of the matter is, we're all watching to hope to see something. And whether it was the Drake Maye experience, Matt Patricia experience, Bill just like giving up in his last season, the Patriots have given you no reason to believe that what you want or what you hope to happen will actually happen. But with this kid, who is a franchise quarterback and 17-game sample size, whatever, I do not want to hear it. That's who Drake Maye is right now. Hope is back on the table. Belief is back on the table. I do not know where this leads. It could be a loss in New Orleans. Who knows? They're only 1.5-point favorites, by the way, which seems insane. But the point is, there's a reason to believe in the Patriots. And I think that just brings everybody up because they know what they're doing and they're proving it to you in such short order, which such spectacular. I called it a holy shit throw, that 31-yarder to Steph Diggs down the right sideline. We have a lot to get to with Diggs. I think that just sunk in. Like, you have reason to believe in the Patriots now for the first time in 4 years. And the last time we'd seen a blowout win like Carolina was 4 years ago. But this is different because Drake Maye is not Mac Jones. And this is a team that is on the rise without question.
I kept thinking today as I sat at the airport forever and then sat on the tarmac forever, how I wanted to frame this. And we've hit on this at various points. But to me, it's a proof of concept. We've talked about Mike trying to steer this. I said he was the MVP of the offseason. I said he was the MVP of the summer. And then you have these rocky moments here during the first few weeks of the season. And you're like, I got to ask the question on EEI, like after week 3, who's doing their job better, Maye or Vrabel? And I was like, well, it's kind of been Maye, if only because I thought some of what Mike was demanding would have already taken root. And that was probably, it was an either or question. I probably should have qualified it a little bit more, but what I think you're seeing now is there's a belief in the quarterback. The quarterback believes in what they put around him and what they're doing for him. But most of all, they look at Vrabel and say, oh my God, this guy knows what he's doing. To your point, there's this plan. He keeps harping on the things that we need to do to win games. When we do those things, we're winning the games. When we don't, we're losing the games. The more that what he says comes true, the more the belief and the buy-in continues. And then, again, people throwing out like they've arrived. Probably like, to me, it's probably, I felt like it's where they are right now is not where I expected them to be. I thought they were going to be a better second half team than a first half team, even with the schedule being what it was. And they're showing me otherwise and showing a lot of people otherwise, that they're a dangerous football team. We'll see whether that means playoffs, whether that means challenging the Bills and wherever you want to go with it. But that's where I'm at.
Well, how about this? Because it's in the episode title we have here tonight. If I told you the Bills are going to lose, right? The Patriots are going to go. They're going to upset Buffalo. They're 3-2. Okay, weird stuff happens. It's early in the season, right? Division game, competitive, all that. What if I told you Drake Maye was going to outduel Josh Allen? Definitively, statistically, not I have to believe it. You get to see it. What would you have said?
Physically, he was capable of it, but I would not have thought that he was quite ready for it just yet. That is the toughest environment he's played in as a professional quarterback. That was an incredible environment last night. Yeah. 76,000. They did follow the whiteout. There were very few people that weren't wearing white last night. And those of you who didn't, you should be shamed. If I was Bills Mafia, I would shame you out of the stadium. But it was like, it was an incredible scenario. First primetime game. And there was a point, I don't know if it was third quarter or fourth quarter. Might have been the fourth quarter one where he's being dragged down and throws the ball in the flat, completes it. And I was like, he keeps getting to his right, even though they don't want him to get to his right. And he keeps making plays when he goes to his right. And you know who does that? Josh Allen. That's Josh Allen. How many times have you seen him? Oh, there's nothing in the pocket. He drifts. Vrabel even talked about it, right? He gets more towards the sidelines, to the red line. And then he makes something beautiful happen out of pure chaos. And in that moment, and I tweeted, I was like, I make it strike by lightning bolts because it's 17 games versus 7 years or whatever Josh has been doing this for. But he did a lot of things last night that you can't deny. And I think that was a wake-up call for the Buffalo Bills, too. I think the Buffalo Bills were like, oh, sugar. That guy's
no. They did not sugarcoat that. They said shit. They said
look,
a couple other things.
It's 8-11. It could be grammar school kids here watching. So we educate the public.
Since you mentioned those last two plays, and I wrote about them in my column, which was very simple. Again, it's time to believe in the Patriots again, and it's due to Drake Maye, which unsaid but understood is this is a team game. There was a whole defense which we're going to break down and get into their game plan for Josh Allen, which you were telling me off air. Joe Brady was like, we did not expect that at all. Their Bills offensive coordinator. But the thing about those last two plays was they were so quintessential Drake Maye. Like even the kid you saw at North Carolina before he even gets to New England, right? That first play, they're running this RPO that they had not shown yet. And you're running counter one way and it's counter bash because the back is going the wrong way and you've got an option to throw. And you can tell Josh McDaniels has circled this in the game plan. We're going to drop it right here. We're going to get him. Yeah. And Daquan Jones just get cuts loose at the exact right part of the play. And so he's going at Drake, who, of course, never wants to give up on a play, knows he can run, knows he can throw, but is trying to buy some time. Meanwhile, Daquan Jones gets him by the collar as Drake is stiff-arming him away, still dragging towards the sideline. As you mentioned, Daquan goes, I'm 320 pounds. I'll just sit, and you'll come down with me. Within a foot of Drake Maye's right knee hitting the turf, he just flicks this pass. Again, last second, I will extend this. It will be my creativity and imagination to make this play happen from a 10-yard loss to a 12-yard gain. Fast forward 2 plays, you get the honey hole shot on the right sideline to Kayshon Boutte, which is less create something out of nothing and more just like, if you're going to be a great quarterback, you have to make those plays.
Yep.
And he made both. And that it was the way he did it. It was the way that it happened. And I don't know. Like, we can all sit back and because this is my default, right? I want more information. I want to know. I'm going to wait. I will be a beat late to arriving at the same conclusion we all get to. I'm at the front of the train on this one. Franchise quarterback, he will be great. It's not out of any personal love of the guy. It's just what I see in the football field. And what I saw last night was nothing short of spectacular.
Well, this 4-game stretch, and again, the Vegas game, we quibble, it didn't look awesome, but it wasn't horrible by any stretch of the imagination. Right. Yeah. But this 4-week stretch, even with the 2 turnovers against Pittsburgh, is the best 4-week stretch a quarterback has played for the New England Patriots since 12 was here and getting it done. And it's obviously it's a completely different style of quarterback. Tom was not stiff-arming guys and throwing and making those sorts of plays out of chaos, but the result is the same. You're getting awesome production from your quarterback right now. And again, small sample size, but it's just been pointing in the right direction for some time now. I want to add one more play to that. And it's gotten some love today. And I wrote about it last night as part of my column on Maye and Diggs and sort of what happened last night and what you should be thinking about this football team going forward. And it was the decision to take the sack at the end of the game-winning drive. And as I wrote, I'm not sure that Drake Maye from even 2 weeks ago would have made that play. And then I caught myself and I said, I'm not even sure Drake Maye in the first half would have done that. But that is the thing that we've talked about a lot. His not being an error repeater, learning quickly. He learned from the first half and some of his struggles and figured it out late in that first half, and it carried over into an incredible second half. But that play could have been a disaster. You run out of bounds, you stop the clock, you give Josh Allen more time. You throw an incomplete pass, you stop the clock, you give the Bills more time. Heaven forbid you see a flash of Travion Henderson or whoever the color was that was going across his face this time, and he decided he wanted to flip the ball, and you have a turnover, a devastating turnover, and you give Josh Allen the ball near midfield. None of those things happen. Just play's not there, man. Just take it. We're going to bleed the clock and let Borregales do what he gets paid to do, and that's bang one from 52 yards. And he did that, by the way, could have been good from about 70.
And I think this is a straw man, but I'm going to say it anyway. Like, I don't think there are many people listening that go, like, again, small sample plays, this and that. Go look at Drake Maye in any quarterback statistic, and you tell me that's anything short of a good quarterback and probably leaning towards great. Completion percentage, you look at EPA, you want to go success rate, it's all there. Here's the thing I love most about this, though. And I just drooled over those two plays that started that last game-winning drive. I'm going overboard, but I'm still very self-aware in this like half-awake state that you and I will be doing the show in tonight. The way that this game declared, in short, is that neither team could run the ball after the first half. For the Bills, it was because the Patriots completely changed their defensive structure to say, you are not getting this when you go to heavy personnel, which is what you're doing, best rush offense in the league. No shot. No, thank you. You're going to have to pivot. The Patriots said, we're also going to beef up on offense, and we're going to run over you. And the Bills said, yeah, that's cool, Josh. You want to run it up our ass because that's always the plan, but it never goes as well as you think it does. And lo and behold, it didn't.
Yeah.
So the ball goes to Drake Maye, and the game is in his hands, and the game is in Josh Allen's hands. And you have to win this way in the same way that he has to win. Drake Maye doesn't have a turnover like Josh Allen does. Josh Allen, obviously spectacular, don't get me wrong, but Drake is working with the worst, a worse offensive line. Okay. He had double the pressure rate based on my charting today, 44% compared to 22 that Josh Allen had to deal with. And for him to win the same game that Josh Allen had to play, granted 3-point deficit at halftime, whatever, that's nothing to Josh Allen and the Bills. To win like that, like literally side by side, says everything you need to know about how they won this game and whether they deserved it or not, because it was right there. They both had the same goal. That's what the game was. And Drake won it.
Yeah, and Josh had the critical interception in the third quarter. That, the way they were rolling after the break, it felt like they were going to score every time they touched the ball, and they were going in for a score there. And he doesn't take the simple play, which was the check down to Cook. Shakir doesn't read that it's man and not zone. Tries to sit down when he should have kept going across. It's a whole thing, but like Marcus makes a great play, and then what do? You turn around, you move the football. Like they just 13 to 14 in the second half, 182, 184 yards, whatever it was. But again, no turnovers, just playing clean, smart football. Like a couple plays, even earlier in the game, like just, hey, it's not there. Just throw it in the ground, whatever. Like don't put yourself at risk of making a bad play for your football team. And, say it all the time about, in order to win, you got to figure out how not to lose first. And I know it's lame, but it's
coach's son talking right there. Yeah,
but it's true. And there's a reason why it's a cliche and people say it all the time and you roll your eyes, but like, if they figured out how to take care of the ball against Pittsburgh, we're not having that different conversation. No, I know, but it's 2 weeks ago, that was a problem.
No, I know. Everyone does that. And I'm like, do you deserve to win the game if you do the stupidest, worst things you can do on a football field? I get you can take away the one play, but if I ever live in that world, the person who I'm competing against gets to do the same thing in my mind. I think that's only fair. So I know the point you're making. I'm just tired of hearing about the Pittsburgh game. Are you ready to talk about that second half?
Bring it up 3 more times then.
Yeah. Okay, good. Hey, we have a segment for that later. Let me have it. Where you're going to have to sit and let me tell you whatever I want that's bugged me earlier in the show. And you're going to get to do the same thing as well as a mailbag. So anyone just jumping in now, if you want your questions answered, we got time. We're probably going to go for like 40, 45 minutes here. If you want to know something from the game, something moving forward, Antonio Gibson's now out for the year, torn ACL, which frankly, like, this sounds messed up, but based on that hit, I thought it'd be way worse. Like a torn ACL, I was like, oh, thank God. I thought he might need like a knee replacement with the way that he took that hit and kickoff. Anyway, drop a question in the chat. We will get to it at the very end as we go through Drake Maye, offense, defense, all the stuff you missed, because Giardi and I have just been sitting with the film in our offices, in a plane, in Buffalo. The difference, though, in the first and second half was super interesting because you and I are sitting there going, oh, boy, this is from Drake. It's not good. Skittish. First reads covered. I'm going to bail. Like I wrote that it felt like the ghosts that haunted Sam Darnold on Monday Night Football were just kind of trying out Sunday Night Football because the Bills were showing blitz, which the Patriots expected. And they told us this after the game, and then bailing. But the mere threat of that pressure was just as good as the actual hit, hurry, or sack to Drake Maye. And so he goes into halftime, comes back out. Completely different dude, you said, at 13 and 14. 6 of 6 in the fourth quarter. Buffalo actually starts to blitz. And I'm sure that played a little part in it, but I also like what McDaniels did, which was we're going to go a little bit more spread. We're going to give you more 11 personnel, and you're going to take kind of the quick hitters, which they had feasted on at the end of the half because Buffalo's like, we're stopping the run and we're playing 2 high safeties. Yep. And then they had to creep back down to get there. And that freed up not only just the shots down the field, but just kind of like a rhythm for him to kind of know, I know where I'm going to get my free access throws now because this is what I was expecting all week.
Yeah, I like some of the two-back stuff too in the second half, which again, like I'm sure your numbers, they weren't overwhelmingly successful in terms of like what it was.
38%.
Yeah, with the 11
rate, pony personnel. Yeah.
But I felt like there were times where there was confusion on a Buffalo defense when they saw that. What are we going to do with it? Some of the motion stuff just didn't feel like they were fully, I don't know. I mean, it's not as if the Patriots hadn't shown it. I just don't think they handled it super well. Again, success rate wasn't awesome, but it just gave them another look. I thought it was interesting, as you mentioned, what the Bills want to do and what the Patriots declared defensively and how they were going to stop it. And then the Patriots deciding, we're going to try to be physical too. We got a heavy dose, at least for him, of Jack Westover last night. I actually thought Jack Westover
not bad.
Didn't do a bad job last night. Couple real good lead blocks, but in general, they couldn't move them. But I was laughing because it was just kind of like, oh, you think you're so great with your 22 personnel and your 13 personnel. Look what I'm going to do, So, yeah, it didn't work for either team.
So to your point, though, because, I have all these numbers in the film review. If you don't read it with the Herald, whatever. People bitch about the paywall all the time. It's not my decision. But if you have $1 and you'd like to read all the success rates, the personnel breakdowns, play calling breakdowns, insights, all there. The thing you will not see, though, is what I'm about to say, which 38% success rate, it's not very good. But in the second half from that pony personnel, so it's Stevenson and Henderson. I think Gibson was hurt at the time. So it's basically just those two in the field at the same time. You get a comeback to Kayshon Boutte for 16 yards. That is a second play offensively for the Patriots in the second half. Later, you get that 24-yard crosser to Hunter Henry. Mm-hmm. So those will just go down as successful play. But we know, like by EPA, those are much more important than just I gained 6 yards on first down. And that also is the equivalent of a successful play. You know what I mean? Like those two are not the same, even if it goes into the numbers as the same. So to your point, they had some big plays down there.
I had 7 explosives and 6 of them came in the second half. And and then you're talking like 16-yard gain is you're teetering on the edge of explosive as far as I'm concerned. That's pretty damn good. There ought to be a different category for that, but pointing it in the right direction. So, just good adjustment to it. Played with good tempo, I thought. And it was interesting because at halftime, when they came out from halftime, Mike Vrabel's talking to Melissa Stark on the sidelines, and she asked him the question, what do you want to see from your quarterback? And he's like, more command. And it wasn't, and then he added something else to it, but my quarterback wasn't in command in the first half was basically what he was telling you. And if we're going to win this game, he's got to be more in control. And holy crap, he was in, it felt like in the second half of this game, much like it felt like in Miami, much like it felt like with Carolina, different teams, different games, but certainly a different environment, but it felt like he was the big brother with the little brother again, holding the ball over your head. You can't get it. You're not tall enough to get it. He was just constantly making the right play.
So I mentioned that Hunter Henry throw from your pony personnel. That brings to another point of command, right? Again, the blitz, he's 0 for 2 in the first half. Under pressure, he's 3 of 5, 27 yards and 2 sacks. Not good. The command, though, comes through and, okay, this is what I prepared for. This is what I'm ready for. In addition to starting well in the second half, which builds that confidence and that belief. Against the blitz in the second half, 6 of 7 for 92 yards and a sack. Like, you pick and slice any numbers from the second half for Drake Maye, they're going to be good.
Yeah.
But when you do that against a team that says, we're going to heat you up right now, and you laugh and you turn the dial the other way, and the flamethrower on them, like that's how you win a game like they did last night. He couldn't be beat. His accurate throw percentage was 89%.
Absurd. That's an absurd number.
Okay, speaking of numbers, because we do this every week and we kind of tell the folks this is what it comes down to. Critical areas, we got 5. Turnovers, Patriots had 1. Bills had 3. First time since. Do you know the date off the top of your head? This is when they the last loss to turnover battle.
26 games, so it was
2023.
Yeah, September of 2023.
Something like that. I don't know. I just thought you might.
No, yeah, it's either September or October of 2023.
Explosive play rate, Patriots 8.9%, Bills 8.2%, so about even. Success rate, Patriots 47%, Bills 49%, and then red zone efficiency, they're both 2 of 4. Here's the biggest difference aside from the turnovers, which again underscores, outlines, highlights, bolds, puts in all caps how good Drake Maye was. 22% pressure rate for the Patriots against Josh Allen. The Bills, 44%. And the weird part is it wasn't like Jared Wilson blew 5 blocks.
Right.
It was a lot of scheme stuff. There were some missed assignments, and then also just the contain rush that just kind of squeezed the life out of the pocket. And then he's stuck in the middle and going, I guess I got to get out of here, and then couldn't. So just to do all that, and granted, they started with much better field position, which is another big factor. Very even game, and the difference was how he was under pressure versus Josh Allen, who saw half as much.
And the poise and control in that. And I talked to Garrett Bradbury and a couple other guys during the course of the week about the silent count, because you knew you were going to go into this loud environment. And let's face it, playing in Miami in week 2, it was probably as many Pats fans as there were Miami fans. It's just not, that place doesn't have the same gravity, the same fervor, and the same noise. And they did a great job with that. You think about like the pre-snap penalties. I know there was a fair amount of flags yesterday, but not a lot of false start stuff. Not like they did a good job controlling that. And it's center, but it's quarterback and command. They did such a nice job of settling into that game in the mid-second quarter offensively, and then just doing their thing.
We should talk about Stefon Diggs.
We should.
This was almost my column last night, because you talk about the difference in the Patriots and why you believe, like the quarterback leading that drive. You just can't do better than that. But what's really close, this is like silver, just 1B, whatever version of that is. I don't know what would the medal be. What would you like between silver and gold?
Platinum.
Oh, platinum's not bad.
Sure.
The number 1 receiver for a day or 2 weeks is there. Like the guy that Drake Maye has on the field, and half of the time, again, more than 40% of the time when Stefon Diggs was on the field, saw a target, converting third downs, getting explosives, beating zone coverage, beating man coverage. And we know the Bills secondary is not like full of all pros. Okay, that's fine. To put up those numbers again after we're celebrating 101 yards, and he goes out in Buffalo, who obviously wants to, show him a little bit as much as he wants to show them, and to finish, I'm going to get this right, 10 catches, 146. I mean, that is the difference between this offense and the ceiling. A player who can do that now 2 weeks in a row that we have also not seen since Brady was under center.
And he is so he looked faster yesterday than maybe he has all season, and maybe the environment and being back there and that whole thing had something to do with it. But I still don't think like he's not the same guy that he was before the injury. And again, as I say it every time we talk about him, because everybody gets it's been less than a year since the ACL. I understand, but his freaking feel for the game is awesome. He had it when he came into the league, and he still has it now at 31. and it's actually benefiting him even more now because he's still working his way back from that thing. So it's like he has this savvy and he sees things. And we've talked about the ability for him and Drake to be on the same page as quickly as they've been, that it's almost automatic now when he throws to him. It's the targets now are like 29 of 33 or something that he's caught. It's some crazy number that I should have written down and I don't.
But it's also like you're saying, the feel. It's just the unspoken understanding for two dudes who have only been teammates for months to just turn around, go here. I know you're going to sit there. Like this just makes sense spatially. You know, we talk about like football IQ and you could rattle off all these protections and rules or your play memory. There's something to be said. Travis Kelce is the master of this. This was makes him and Mahomes so good. Of just, I know where the defense is. I know what they want to do. I'm just kind of zeroing in right to the weakness, like a center fielder taking a direct path to a fly ball. That's Steph Diggs to the weakness in the defense, and Drake sees it. You know, he forced one ball to him in the red zone, which you talk about things you bring up that people get mad about. He was the only guy double covered, which was one play, not a big deal. They moved on. But everything other than that was just it has me thinking about how this changes the offense moving forward, because if you're New Orleans, you'd be stupid if you weren't like, oh, the guy who's on the field, 30 snaps, but gets a target on 12 of them. We should probably do something about him. And if you're Josh McDaniels and going, okay, I understand this is what they're thinking. What's my counter to their counter? Like you can leverage this now with more decoy opportunities. I think like there's a lot more possibilities, not just because of how good he is, but because of the domino effect that it can have for the rest of the offense and what they might be able to reimagine now.
Which is one of the reasons why you've clamored for upgrades at wide receiver, because you haven't had someone who can dictate coverage in eons, right? I mean, I guess it would be Julian, and that is not the same caliber of player that Steph is when Steph is right. And so, you know, last year at times they were double covering Pop because there was nobody else to. We got an extra guy. We're not worried about these other guys.
The first double team was in Miami in November. Like,
well, my point being though, like you haven't had a guy like that. Jacoby, I guess before him, same thing though. Like no one was petrified of Jacoby Myers. Good football player. Everybody would admit that across the league. But you don't go into the game going, that Myers, man, he keeps me up at night. I don't know how we're going to do this. If this Diggs of the last 2 weeks is what you get for the majority of the year, then defensive coordinators are going to have to plan for it, and that is going to create other opportunities. And maybe this is where Kyle Williams, who got on the field a couple times last night, and he was open a couple times, they couldn't get him the football, but like maybe this is where that comes into play, or maybe it's again more targets for Booty, who once again shows up when the ball comes his direction, and that'll make the offense better and more dangerous. And you know, you look at 28, 30 points a game. That's on the table if that's what you're getting out of that guy. And of course, you're getting the play from the quarterback.
I mentioned this earlier. I don't have much more in the receivers, right? Like I think Kayshon Boutte should probably get a couple more targets. He caught all 3 targets. He has that big catch late, good contested catch guy. Pop Douglas now is a bit, I don't want to say gimmick player, but like it's something adjacent to that. There's a term that's not coming to me. We all know what I'm talking about. The offensive line, though, to allow that much pressure, a pressure rate of 44%, but without assigning individual blame, which if I sound crazy, you at home go do this. Like Mike Onwenu topped out for me at 3 pressures allowed. Morgan Moses had 1, Jared Wilson had 1, Will Campbell had 2, and Hunter Henry had 1, and I gave Drake Maye 2, kind of ran into a sack and a little more hurt.
Yep.
What do you make of all that? How do you explain it?
I mean, part of it was the environment, I think, even as I'm sitting here talking about communication. Like the Buffalo Bills may not have the same caliber defense they did a few years ago, but it's still a well-schooled defense, well-coordinated defense, and they do possess some challenges. And there are guys, like you look at their defensive front, you look at the front 4, you know, the guys they rotate in there, they're all good players. They're at different levels of the career. Maybe there's no one great on that group anymore. Bosa's, you know, the tail end. Russo's never really gotten over the hump, but like they're all capable of making plays in the pass game, much like as I look at like Caleb Vaughn, like when he's out there, some of it is but then some of it is like, man, you know, like if you got to block him 35 times a game, he's going to win sometimes. These guys are going to win sometimes. So I don't I don't. I was generally very pleased with the offensive line yesterday, and have been for the whole year. It's been better than I thought. I know there's different metrics out there. It's this fourth best pass blocking group or whatever. Like, I don't know about all that. What I do know is that it has been largely very consistent in the pass block and pass protection, and that is critical when you're trying to develop your young quarterback.
Yeah, and I haven't mentioned this yet because we kind of skipped over the game plan aside from like Josh tried out a bunch of I had 65% of plays in the first half, multiple backs or tight ends. The other big percentage was 42% play action.
Yes, I wrote it down.
Woo!
Yep.
Oh my God. Like just take it easy. Every single week it's going up.
Josh watched them last year and probably watched this podcast last year while you were losing your mind on a regular basis about the lack of play action, and was like, you know what? That Callahan, we're a bright guy. I'm gonna sprinkle. I'm gonna give a little bit more and a little bit more. But same thing though. He's got the best part about this. Again, go back to Drake Maye. He's gotten more comfortable with it. We sat there in the preseason in the Minnesota game and like some of the play action stuff, and that's where his erratic throws came. And they're like, we're not doing that anymore. And now here we are a month and change later, and it's like, that dude's pretty chill. Like, I've turned my back on the defense. Big deal. I'm Drake freaking Maye, and I'm going to make something happen.
So the play action would of course, like, very good. He was 11 of 13. It was somewhere around 150 yards. I tweeted it out. The reason I bring this up is because you just don't see 42% anywhere, like any week. But it continues to go up as he gets better. I don't think this was as fundamental. You had a couple explosives, but one of them was an extended play to Diggs, and he's rolling out. That's more him creating than it is stuff by design. I don't think it was as fundamental to Sunday, but it is certainly elemental to the offense. Like, you're preparing for the Patriots. You're going, okay, we really got to get this going. Or we have to have a plan for this because it's a big part of their offense. And this underscores the fact that you do not need to establish the run in order to have an effective play action game. This is true of, you want to go back 22 years to the 2003 Patriots, who would admit at the Super Bowl. There's a clip of this. Bill being like, how did we get here? We can't run. We can't punt. We can't do something else. But they ran enough play action to create more efficiency. So if you're not efficient on the ground, how can you create those easy windows? And the Bills are bad against play action, whatever. Because the run game has not been good. And that's a part where, okay, you're not worried about the offensive line. I don't like that they're averaging 3.2 yards a carry, then 3.6. And the success rates are right there with it. Like, maybe they unlock something more. But when you lose Antonio Gibson, this is an area where I go, Sunday was outstanding. I can't wait. I'm not looking for negatives. It's just diving into the numbers again. I'm like, I know they would love to run the ball better than they have been, and I'm looking for solutions.
I personally think that more of that has been on the backs than it has been on the offensive line since week one. I thought, obviously, the Vegas performance we talked about in the aftermath, they just weren't moving anybody, and that was rough. But I think there have been yards on the field. I think Trevion Henderson has left yards on the field. I think last night was another example. Like, he has a player or two, but like the down-to-down consistency for everybody who's clamoring for give me more Trevion. I mean, you might get that now because obviously Antonio's not out there, but like, that's part of the issue. And Rhamondre, when he, last week when he plays, after we were wondering whether he was going to or not, and Vrabel sticks with him, he ran very defensively. Not like a loose athlete, like, because he's worried about protecting the football. And then last night, that thing happens again. You're kind of up. I'll swear now, you're up Schitt's Creek without a paddle on that front, because your colleague Doug Kyde put out a list of names of available running backs, and it's not. There's a reason why those guys are sitting out there. It's not very good.
So what do you do? Because like Antonio Gibson's lost for the year, and I think this is also part of it. Which this is. If I got a mailbag question saying what I'm about to say, I'd be like, I think this is a little bit of a stretch. But when you're looking for answers, the way that the Patriots are and trying to find your identity, Antonio Gibson was very, very good behind zone blocking. Mm-hmm. 5 of his 6 carries against Buffalo were zone blocked runs. Only 1 gap scheme run when Rhamondre was on the field. That's more of his style. Boom, downhill, power, counter, duo, whatever. Gibson's off the table is like your most reliable all-around guy, because Stevenson can't fumble, and they have a bunch of little issues and details that Henderson's missing. Do you embrace now that you're probably a downhill, play action, gap scheme, type of team like we always saw with Josh?
Yeah.
Are you even going that far? Does it depend on the new guy? Like, this is a lot to make it, but maybe we should just pivot to Rhamondre Stevenson. But let's say Stevenson fumbles again this weekend. Now you're down to one back plus the stranger and Terrell Jennings.
Right. Yeah. We talk about the I guess the timelines, like you remember the breaks that they were tapping after Minnesota with some of the media people, all of a sudden it was like, there's this coordinated message that was saying like, oh, it's going to take a little while. Well, now here we are again, 5-6 weeks removed from that, where you're 3-2, you just beat the Bills. Your schedule is based on DVOA, like the easiest schedule in NFL history over the last zillion years today, as of right now. And it's like, do you start to think to yourself, oh, Cincinnati's a mess. Do we make a phone call there? Chase Brown. Do you, just people are throwing names out in the chat. Joe Mixon's been a name that's been thrown out in the chat. Yeah. Joe Mixon's got the foot thing and hasn't played and doesn't sound like he's.
But if you have questions, because we've got a lot more audience now.
Yes.
Drop them in the chat. We will get to them at the end after I remount Mike for something and he does the same to me. But yeah, go ahead. Drop the question.
I would say that's something that you should probably be looking around. And I'm sure, like, obviously pro scouts, they've scouted all these guys. There's guys on practice squads. Maybe there's someone that they say that guy's a good zone runner and he's not on their 53. We'll bring him in. We'll see what it's about. They definitely have to add a body there. Terrell's going to I would assume, get a little bit more of a chance here, but he's never really overwhelmed me by any stretch of the imagination, but they've kept him around for a bit. So that is an area where you can't, like, there's an opportunity. You can't just sit there and go, I'm not saying give up a second round pick or anything. I'm not being crazy, but like, hey, like you should kick the tires on some people and see what's out there.
Yeah. Last thing on the running backs, then I want to hit Drake and then we'll move on to defense. What do you do with him right now? Because you talked to him after the game and he, again, just a win he's never experienced before like that. He's still saying bittersweet. And we all know why. Like, that was the second drive of the game, the fifth offensive snap. But they have to bring him back, or they didn't have to at the time, but they did 4 snaps later. And now you're going, it's kind of a threat to how we want to play offense or win games. So what do you do?
Yeah, and that was the first time I think you could sense a bit of, maybe exasperated wasn't the right word, but there was a level of frustration in Vrabel's voice talking about it afterwards, where yes, he was once again saying like, he's a good player. We need him, but man, we got to figure out because that in a game like this, and you're going to be in a lot of, if you advance and play well, you're going to be in games like this. You have to be able to trust him. And right now, I don't know how you can. I mean, they're rolling him out there almost hoping that something happens. And it's weird because if you go back and look at the fumbles, they're all like different kind of fumbles. Like he had it up here against Pittsburgh and it gets punched out. And you're like, how did that happen? And then, okay, you're down by the goal line and you kind of extend it from your body a little bit and it gets knocked out there. Yesterday, I mean, almost felt like he relaxed before he hit the ground. And then the ball pops, and it's like, he even like initially you saw the replay, he like got up and he was kind of like, I was down, but he didn't even believe it. Like, like, I'm not even going to forget it. I'll just go.
Dog ate my, never mind. I just don't have the homework. Yeah.
And I guess they all went up to him afterwards on the sidelines, like in the immediate aftermath, and was like, dude, get over it. We're going to, there's still a lot of football left to be played. So like they continue to try to prop him up, but at some point, how many times can you go back to that well?
Then he had 2 touchdowns. So as much as anyone, unlike me,
the second one, you or I could have, I think. That was that was well schemed.
Yeah. Last thing on Drake, it's just so striking. And again, you can read about this. There are a couple stories that Herald right now. The comments from teammates, which teammates saying nice things about the quarterback. When the quarterback leads a game-winning drive, is as old as the sport itself. But for a guy who's 23, and you have Harold Landry pausing when I ask him, how good could he be? I know you're not a quarterback's coach. And he repeats that back to me. Yeah, I'm not a quarterback's coach. But honestly, I think it's up to him. And Austin Hooper goes, oh, he's that guy. And Carlton Davis, who's been around Tom Brady and Jared Goff and played against a lot of good quarterbacks, goes, I think he could be a great Like I started talking about this belief, just all of us watching football and the reason you do it and you think and you hope and you believe and you expect. And when that's fulfilled and realized, it's really fun sitting in the press box or on your couch or wherever at a bar. It is life-changing, career-changing when you're a teammate of that guy and you're literally in it. And I just, that type of belief and those statements are just going to stick with me more than most quotes because of how powerful they are.
Talked to Hunter Henry afterwards, and he was like, that throw to Keyshawn, like it just like they're even at like, oh, Jesus, like he in that spot, he did that. Like that's the kind of stuff that you're right. And it's actually funny you were talking about like the players being attached to the quarterback and what a great quarterback can do for them. I said to Hunter, Hunter, it's been a little while since you had a win like this. Think about it. Like he came here, they had the first year, they make the playoffs, get stomped by the Bills, and then there was pretty much a decline from there, 8-9, 4-13, 4-13. Like, and played in many games that had juice and like consequences, or you felt like had consequences. And he just had like, him anyway. He had a big smile on his face, and he's like, "Shoot, man, it's hard to win. It's hard to win in this league, and kind of experienced that the last couple of years, and now like to feel that." And I was like, look, I get it. It's only October. I'm not, I don't want you to like tisk me, but like, he definitely felt it. It was that was cool. That was a cool moment for all of them.
He's a guy, until I asked him to do a Drake Maye impression on Thursday and he delivered, that speaks more loudly with his body language than he does verbally. Yes. Like when things are bad, he'll tell you with his eyes or nodding, like, and subtle, George, like, I don't know. It's hard to win in this league. Like, God damn it didn't have to be that hard. Like that's kind of what he's saying.
Oh, yeah.
All right. The crazy thing is, as much, again, as I have drooled and praised and everything about Drake, who's deserved it and written about it and believe in the Patriots again, my platinum medal for favorite thing that happened in this game was on defense. And I'm going to tell you why in a second. But first, are we playing Prize Picks this week through baseball season, maybe Thursday night, you and I?
I mean, we should.
Yeah.
We've generally been good at this.
We have. I like rooting against the Yankees. I like winning money while I watch sports. I like watching sports as it is. And this week, whether you watch baseball or not, you can go to Prize Picks and win money watching football. Because every week in this podcast, we give you picks with players and just stats. And that's it. There's no changing this or spread that. It's just a player and a stat. It could be Drake Maye and touchdown passes. It could be Rhamondre Stevenson and rushing touchdowns. Whatever it is, you get to pick the player and the stat at Prize Picks. You put it in a lineup, and then you go more or less, and that's it. Sometimes you get Drake Maye half a touchdown pass, and you can go more. So if you think Drake Maye is going to throw one touchdown in New Orleans, you go to Prize Picks, you put that in, that's half of a lineup because lineups are just 2 to 6 players. Giardi and I have played this. We have won it. They've been sponsoring the podcast for a long time because it's that fun. And also, if you don't like the number, you can change it, which I don't know how many places you can say that. For all the places you can put your money where you watch sports and win, Prize Picks, it's good to be right. It's good to win. And you can do this all in one place. Plus, you can use the same player up to 3 times now. They're giving stacks, which is just seems crazy to me. But anyway, for all the fun, for all the money, for all the winning, download the Prize Picks app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups. That's 50. $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineup after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. My favorite thing, the defensive game plan from Zach Core, who not great against Pittsburgh. Okay, we all saw it. We called it. Miami, not very good. Better against Carolina. Okay, cool. It's Bryce Young. Like that game plan and getting praise for that was like me showing up to a cookout and being like, hey, I made something. And everyone in my friend group and family knows that I do not cook. So they'd be like, oh, cool, Cal. Hey, like you beat the Panthers. I can see the Stop and Shop sticker on the bowl there, which means you didn't actually make this, but like that's cool. No, this is me coming in with a gourmet meal that I prepared myself. That's how shocking this was. This is how good it was to see from Zach Core in Buffalo, where they ramped up their man coverage, which was good. They had a contained plan for Josh Allen, which had mixed results. He was almost perfect on all of his blitz calls, which had no pattern. There was no constant. There was no anything that you could discern, down, distance, style, who was blitzing when, field position, anything. And they changed their entire defensive front to look at Buffalo And when they studied this offense, Josh Allen MVP, and number one rushing offense in the league that beef up with all these tight ends and running backs, as you told Mike Vrabel for about 2 minutes at the press conference last week.
Right.
I'm still shocked he didn't cut you off. They said, okay, we're going to add Jelani Tavai. He's going to play outside linebacker. We are going to go old school 3-4 front. And when we don't, we're going to go 5 down linemen because you love running outside zone more than anybody in the AFC. And if we short circuit that outside zone, well, you can't play in that personnel grouping anymore. And when you back out and you play 11, what do we get to do? We get to play what we want to play all along, which is 3-corner nickel and a bunch of man-to-man because we have Christian Gonzalez back and Carlton Davis, and your receivers are not as good at them. The run plan worked. The pass plan worked. That Buffalo team, again, MVP of the league, powering them, scoring more than 30 points a game. Not only held the 20 points, but had 3 at halftime. So just the domino effect of everything to happen, of course, because he's Josh Allen, they figured out. They go, okay, we'll just pick you apart, pew, 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 downfield. That was going to happen always. But to buy yourself some time and to outcoach then and even a little bit later, like that Gonzalez pass breakup that everyone in Buffalo and the greater city is just fuming about because he was this tiny bit early. It was a zone call. You're not expecting that if you're the Bills. It's 3rd down. This could be the game. You're going to be a man-to-man. They weren't. Great job, Zach Core.
Yeah, phenomenal job. I love in situations like this, you're like, oh, well, they don't really, we talk about like, you're not gonna, there's no one on their team you're going to travel with. Maybe you might like on a money down, maybe you might put Gonzalez or Davis on like a Dalton Kincaid. But I love the idea of just my guys are so much better than your guys generally. Like, and that's not like Khalil Shakir is a nice player, good battle, inside with
nice personality. Yeah,
no. Like he's a good player. I'd take him on my team any day of the week. But like he's not that guy. Coleman's not that guy. Like that entire group of pass catchers is like 6.5.
Yeah.
A Buffalo 6.5? Is that a Buffalo 9? What is that? And so you're just like, we can lock you up, and that's gonna make things more difficult for your quarterback. You talked about the pressure numbers, and that was the thing that was stark in watching the game over again was every time Josh had to create some chaos to try to make something happen, and you're looking downfield and it's like covered. Like they just plastered. Obviously there were a couple times where, Hawkins got beat on that chaos play where I think it was like 6 seconds from snap to throw. Generally not going to be able to cover for that long, especially when it's a safety. But like by and large, that was the crazy thing about the picture. I kept looking at going, they just locked them up there. They locked them up there. And, when we talked about cat coverage, Vrabel with the cat coverage, you got this cat, I got that cat. They got 3 cats because Marcus is playing really, really well. The pass breakup down the sideline, I think that was Coleman, right, who's a significantly bigger guy than him. Technique was great there. Great play. There's a reason why they want to be in 4-2-5. There's a reason why they want to be in that nickel because he's turned out to be a really valuable piece of that defense. I talk all the time about his level of physicality for a man his size. Like he throws himself in there, no problem. But that speed, obviously the huge interception, like they've got 3 guys that can do that, I think, and feel really comfortable with.
Marcus on the interception. There are a couple of things here I want to hit on. Number one is when they're playing this coverage plan, the basis was cover 1, right? And there are a couple of different variations of this. One of which last week included Kyus Tonga popping out and being, hello, I'm going to play the wrap player underneath. Didn't happen on Sunday. But the point is you get 1 single high safety. It's usually man-to-man across the board. Sometimes you add a 5th rusher. Sometimes you have the 2nd safety spin down. Sometimes you have a linebacker pop out, hole player, wrap player, whatever you want to call them. Cool. And when they played cover 1, they had a disguise that often hinted at maybe some quarters or Tampa 2 or cover 3. And then they would spin into cover 1. When they would play zone, which was still about half the time, they would present cover 1 and be like, here comes the man-to-man. Even when you motion, we'll chase you. And then they'd spin into zone. That disguise was such a big piece of making Josh Allen hold the ball to buy them time. Because, again, the pressure rate was not good. 22% against that level of quarterback is just a death wish. Robert's playing. Milt Williams had 3 pressures. Christian Barmore had a couple. That's it. Everybody else had 1, including 2 defensive backs. So to be able to do that, play man coverage, spin out of that, But then to make a play like Marcus did, which was not just I'm going to undercut the route on this man coverage. It's I know my safety help is here. So when he kind of lets off the gas a little bit, and there goes Shakir, that's inviting to Josh Allen of like, there's an opening. No, there's not. And that takes time. It takes reps. And Marcus gave up some catches late, but I like that they were able to say, look, the best way to beat Buffalo, the best team in the AFC, is to line up and play him straight up. The best way to beat you is to go through you. And that didn't succeed on offense the way they wanted, but obviously they scored points. It absolutely succeeded on defense against a reigning MVP. They dictated terms to the Bills in a way we've not seen them do to teams far worse than Buffalo. And that was huge from start to finish.
Yeah, and as I was mentioning to you, Joe Brady's press conference was like, it took us a while to figure out the structure of their defense because they hadn't seen what you talked about, the 3-4 or the 5 down linemen and what it did to their run game, which has been the best run game in football. Cook has been one of the best players in football, and he didn't have a run over 9 yards yesterday. And credit on that play, by the way, Harold Landry, if he didn't chase him down and get a hand on the back of his cleat, James Cook was going for 50 and a touchdown probably on that play. But like they did such a great job of bottling that up. And a real part of the Bills' identity has been that like we're going to physically overwhelm you. And it's not just our quarterback can run through you. He can also throw over you, obviously, as we've seen. But like this is the kind of team that we've built, and going with the 3 tight ends or 2 tight ends and a fullback and being able to shove the ball down people's throats like this. And for the Patriots to be able to respond to that, Jack Gibbons, Spillane, Tavai on the as the outside linebacker. I thought Tavai played a terrific game for his first game back. Blew an edge on the first play, and then pretty much played really good football after that. Like, again, shows that they can morph, and that's something that they definitely want to be able to do. And I was wondering if they could get to that with this group because it had been sort of an uneven start. But now you're starting to feel like that group is generating some momentum and an identity on defense.
Unlike his social media strategies, this was a Belichick plan that really worked out well. Just as somebody else called it. More man coverage. We'll change our fronts. We'll put guys in different positions. Mina Kimes had this tweet in a way that, we national people scoop us all the time when it comes to breaking news. It's just kind of how the league goes and whatever. But she had a tweet as I was about to go about Kyus Tonga being like, he kind of keyed the whole plan, right? Like, you don't want Milt Williams playing nose tackle. Christian Barmore, you don't want playing nose tackle. But the 6'2", 330-pound dude, who I've never seen not smile in my entire life in the locker room, is there stacking and shedding, taking on double teams, just flying over to wrap up running backs. And that, just like, to use the extreme easy example, Vince Wilfork was the foundation of all those 3-4 defenses from 2005 when he really played onward. Okay. Ted Washington before him, Keith Traylor, whatever. They needed that guy. He was it, and was such an underrated piece of this, which is like hard to write about. But that's why we do a podcast. We do a podcast for Kyus Tonga.
You can't read this, but the very bottom in caps, Tonga is awesome. It's.
Did you tell that to your other notebook? Did they have a chat like we revealed last week?
We don't need to. There's the whole, I'm still
one notebook and it talks to the other notebook.
I'm still mentally scarred from forgetting the notebook, and it was a whole thing. But constantly when he's on the field, you notice him, and not just because he's big. You notice him because he's penetrating, or he's holding up 2 guys, or he's making a play that you're like, should that guy be that quick? I mean, Vrabel admitted it a few weeks ago. Like, he's quicker than we thought. Yeah, he's like, he shouldn't be able to move that way at his size, but he's been a terrific addition.
So going back to the coverage plan, because again, the starting point is they stop the run against the best running offense in the league. That's huge. The Patriots under Mike Vrabel should expect, unlike Drake Maye, who guaranteed this after week 1, we're always going to have a good run defense. Should expect that based on Vrabel's history in Tennessee, where year in, year out, they had a good run defense. Pass defense was an entirely different story. So they stop the run. They get him into the second and long, third and longs. The Bills figure out then, okay, we don't need to decipher the structure and how they're playing us. They go, they're mostly manning up, but they're doing it half the time. And Josh goes, I need to play matchup ball. And sometimes that meant the slot fade to Keon Coleman, who had a foot on Marcus Jones. And other times it meant Dalton Kincaid, who is far and away their leading receiver. And they succeed there because teams are going to pick on the Patriots linebackers. and their safeties. I will say, and we'll get to the touchdown in a second, because this is a rule thing that I think they're going to have to address, and we've kind of talked about before. There's so much here that's sustainable because, again, you just lined up and beat one of the best offenses in football and the best team in the AFC. And I thought they were the best team in football. You can disagree, whatever. It doesn't matter. There's so much sustainable there. How they solve their safety and linebackers getting picked on, which you can't play perfect defense, is intriguing to me because I think overall this is the best way. This is the way that they should want to play against most teams.
Yeah, and if you're going to quibble, like I feel like their edge production has declined. Harrell got off to the fast start, and not that he played a poor game last night, not by any stretch of the imagination. You hold Josh Allen to 20 points, but like impacting the quarterback, he's not doing it nearly as often as he was early in the year. I know you didn't have Chase on last night. Didn't get anything out of Keon White as a pass rusher before he got hurt yesterday.
Can I stop there because I don't want to end on a bad note, but we have to talk about Keon for a second.
Okay.
He played, I think, 23 snaps.
Mm-hmm.
This was some of the worst edge play I have seen covering this team. And I'm shocked to say that because we know the talent. I'm, mostly joking, but then actually fully serious that I'm out of the Keon White prediction business. He was completely unaware. Bootleg plays, screen plays, rushing behind the quarterback, spinning away, using just his shoulder. There was one snap, he's rushing straight up. He's not bent down. There's no leverage. There's no pad level. He's just facing Deion Dawkins. And Deion Dawkins might as well have been playing with his large adult son. And I don't know what happened to Keon White, but the awareness has not been there for most of the season. And when you play with that little technique and fundamentals, I don't know if he survives the season because it's just like that edge play is something they really need desperately. And I get the talent and I want to see it. He was so good to start last season. But I know there are people that have to be in that building going, what are we doing? Like they're Carolina blowing edges against the run, negative player there, no pressures against the Bills. Deion Dawkins is not an easy task, but like this was bad.
Yeah, even the Keon White of his rookie year when he was incredibly raw in the second half of the year would not have looked like the Keon White that we saw last night. So I don't know what the disconnect is. I don't. I mean, I can't figure it out. I think they're clearly at, I want to say they're at their wits' end, but I know that they can't be having the greatest conversations about what he's doing and what to do going forward with it. Mike Smith keeps promising like he's got so much talent and you're going to see it come out. And it's like, when, because you've had him now, you had him through the summer, you've had him into the fall, and he's having a hard time getting on the field. And then when he gets on the field, he's not doing a good job when he's out there. So
he's on the ground. I mean, that's the simplest way to put it.
It's staggering. Like, he it just shouldn't be that way. He's too physically talented to be that kind of player.
Yeah. All right. Enough Keon White. Christian Ellis, real quick. Bounce back. I've been really hard on him. I said they should bench him. He wraps up Josh Allen in the open field in that first drive. I'm like, holy, okay. Good for you. Didn't miss a tackle. Actually, let me double check that because I can't.
No, I don't think he did. And he had another good one on.
Yeah, he did not. He had 6 tackles.
He had a good one on a wide receiver screen. He was much better in the open field, much better with his tackling. And I wonder too if like maybe that defense, the way they played last night, is more beneficial to him in the long term. I mean, I know it's more Gibbons, Tavai,
like the coverage stuff, or just kind of being in a bigger front.
Bigger front.
Okay.
Because he's not a bigger guy, like. Yeah, you're not buying it. You're not buying it. It's okay.
I mean, not totally, because like a traditional 3-4 defenses, you want like the Juwan Bentleys of the world, kind of coming down and thumping and taking on linebackers. But I mean, there's got to be something there about his responsibilities aligning with that production. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't.
He just played faster last night, right? Isn't that like the best way I would say it is when I watched him, I go, it doesn't feel like he's hesitating for that split second. He just seemed like he was on his details last night.
Well, and when he is, that's why you go, okay, that's why he's playing over Jack Gibbons, because Gibbons just doesn't have that, forget the penalty in the sideline. It doesn't have that gear. It doesn't ride with that kind of thump and that violence. So it's just, there are players like him. I say they're like better in theory than in practice, but then you get a little flash, you get a little tease. You're like, oh, I might be back in.
And that's where you see where they looked at the tape and go, we'll match that offer from Vegas and we'll keep him around.
Yes, because all the coaches are going, oh, we can fix this. We can coach him up. Scouts are like,
they all think that.
yeah. I liked most, of course, not the late penalty, though there was a suggestion. I don't remember what exactly it was in the locker room. Joshua Farmer gets that bad penalty in the fourth quarter. Can't have it. But thought he played well against the run. Aside from that, Corey Durden had a pressure. Like, they're rotating these guys in basically to keep Barmore and Milton Williams fresh, and that's really paid off where you see them, Barmore and Milton Williams, come in on third and long, the fourth quarter, make a difference. Just a little highlight for them. Can't be all the Tonga show.
I wouldn't mind, and I don't know what your charting says about it, but it seems my recollection of it is they almost always come out as a duo.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't mind them breaking it up a little bit, leaving one of the bigger guys out there with them. You don't care.
No, I don't. Over 200 suggestions the last 5 minutes. There's some charting. I want to talk about the man coverage rules at the goal line, which is just going to be as in the weeds as we get on this show. That's a lie, but we're close to it. Is there anything else we're missing though?
No, because one of the things I wrote about in terms of what are we missing, the play we're about to talk about is on there. So do it.
Okay. I will say that the gap discipline is one thing. This is boring. This is like people tuning out right now. But in terms of James Cook, it's not just the offensive line's good. They play big personnel. Excellent cutback runner. And they didn't give him anything in that regard. So just the discipline, control your gap, be in your gap, do your job, as some say. Well done by the Patriots. Okay. So the Patriots man coverage, as I've talked about before, and has me a little bit worried when you end up with a safety. And the way offenses can maybe manufacture matchups is because their default rules when they're in man coverage say if a receiver goes in motion and I'm on that receiver, I'll go over a little bit, but if he goes all the way across the formation, we all change assignments and we bump. Okay, I take the guy that I'm now closest to. If he goes the opposite side of the formation, my teammate, that defender, now has him. So this comes into play in the first touchdown from Curtis Samuel, who goes from the offense's right to the left. And in the process, I think it was Marcus Jones. They bump. You see the safety's going like this. They extend an arm towards the direction of the motion to alert the guy who's over there. He's yours now. And that person was Jalen Hawkins. He's like, okay, I got him. I'm over here. We're good. And Curtis Samuel goes back. And then their rules go, okay, we got to bump back. You got him now. And then Curtis Samuel starts running back in the same direction that he originally went, which means he's Jalen Hawkins' responsibility. They snap the ball. And with that kind of head start or sudden change, if he wasn't in motion at the snap, forgive me, 2 hours of sleep, he has already out-leveraged Jalen Hawkins at the snap. There are no perfect man coverage rules, okay? And there are benefits to this. Keeping your disguise in place, and generally keeping your leverage as opposed to just chasing guys all the way back and forth across the formation. But the Bills did this again with the Keon Coleman touchdown. And that was a little different where Marcus Jones just blew it. But it was a bad split-second decision where you're like, all right, that sucked. But I understand the tension that they put on that defense with the motion rule. So it's something that if I'm the Saints and you got to make those trips count, you're probably doing the same thing. And if you're the Patriots, you go, okay, what's going to be our answer here if we get that same look?
On the Hawkins play, he also turned his head. And I don't know if he was going to communicate again. He's coming back in your direction. And then that's when the ball was snapped. And it was like, turn like it was literally when you watch it, it seems like it's really slow, but it probably happens in a split second. But it's like, oh, you're doomed. There's no shot of you getting out there in time. So, I don't know how they fix that. I don't know how they alter it. I should say it's not fixing, it's altering, right? Because it's working a large majority of the time.
And there's different stuff you could do down there. Like you could banjo those calls. You take first inside, first outside if you're kind of facing a stack. And I'm, you and I are defending two guys who are right in front of each other at the goal line. And whoever goes closest to you first, you take him. Whoever goes closest to me, I take him. You could just play straight man. You could lock and level. Like there's a lot of different stuff, but that's just consistent with the rules. Full field, not even just in the red zone, where again that gets a little bit easier. But traveling is harder. So I get why they don't travel always. But sometimes I'm like, you want to keep the matchups. Like, that's the beauty of playing man-to-man, right? Like, I get to choose who I want on your guys. We play zone. I'm over here. You can put whoever you want over here. Okay. And I don't want to sacrifice that benefit of playing man to man because my rules say, well, we got to, make sure we keep the whole picture in shape. And that's beneficial. It's just, again, you want to know why the Bills scored there? They understood the Patriots rules and they made the Patriots rules. They made the Patriots break them. That's what they did. And that's what all good offensive coaches do.
You had a similar situation right down on the Keon Coleman touchdown, right? Where movement there, conversation, he pops open. I turned to you and the thing, because as you're watching it real time, I didn't see them communicate. So I'm like, Carlton turned and was like, ah! And I was like, is he yelling at himself or is he yelling at Marcus? Or not even yelling, but expressing frustration that all week. And he came real close, by the way, to getting that football as well. So it's but yeah, it was a combination there.
Yeah. I think that's what I have on the defense. I'm curious, again, how they do. This was far and away their best performance. And this is why I was a little bit down on them going up to Buffalo. And, moral victory is where I was at. I thought they could beat, that they cover, not win, because they've been so good against Carolina. What goes up must come down. But the last 2 weeks, they keep getting better. And for this defense specifically, because it's been much worse in the offense on balance of the whole 5 weeks of the season, does it look like in New Orleans? I want to know. Studs and duds, real quick. Who we got?
Maye, Diggs, Marcus Jones. I put in there, even though you mentioned a couple catches, and I put Will Campbell in there.
Talk to me about Will Campbell, because I just had him down for 2 pressures, and they didn't run the ball. I mean, they had a couple good runs in his direction. Don't get me wrong, but that felt like short of stud territory to me.
I continue to like the level-headedness that he's playing with. And I thought this was a massive challenge, even if Joey Bosa is not the player that he used to be. And did you hear Joey Bosa's name last night? There's one play where
he got Moses once.
Yeah, right. Wasn't on him. So I'm not calling it a dominating performance. I'm just calling it really good. And he's been trending in the really good direction. You were making fun of me last week for it's falling off the block. He fell off another one, and this guy ended up making a tackle on a run to the other side. Didn't bother me as much. Answered the call in a tough environment. Not that he's not used to playing in those environments, obviously in the SEC, but first pro game in that kind of place, and thought he answered the call.
Okay, I buy it. I would throw Christian Gonzalez in there too. Garrett Bradbury, still no pressures for me. I think PFF had him down for 1, maybe 2. I didn't see it. And Zach Core was my last stud. Really, really big job. And also meeting the moment for him too, right? We talk about players and prime time and the crowd and the lights and this and that. Coaches know what they're stepping into. They can tell us every week's the same. We try to do our best. We try to game plan. Man, you know how good Joe Brady is as an offensive coordinator. You kind of want to show your stuff, understanding other coaches are realizing what you're doing and how much you just changed and what you guys are tackling and making the right calls and communications. It's a reflection on you. He knows what he did. Good job.
We had these conversations for the better part of 20 years with the stuff that Belichick and the Patriots defense would do. And you'd be like, this week they came out and did this.
Yeah.
And we sat there and got all lathered up over it and gave them praise. Rightfully so. There's plenty of teams in the league that do what they do. And those are the teams that you used to make fun of because, Pittsburgh, you want to play that way against Tom Brady? It's not going to go well for you. It never goes well for you. And the Patriots would always evolve and change. And it's actually funny that you bring that up, that you put Core in there because sometimes we do why they win, right?
Yep.
I thought they outcoached them. I think it was between the Joe Brady comments and even seeing Josh didn't get flustered, but tried to put on a little bit too much, maybe on himself at points during the course of the game because stuff, Cook wasn't going off. They weren't getting those things happening for him. And then Josh to be able to, and Drake, whoever, there's a combination platter there, but getting him settled down and finding a good rhythm offensively. And then Vrabel had his guys ready. I'm sure Vrabel played the moral victory crap. The writers are saying, the TV guys are saying, you might cover, but you're not going to win. You're not ready to win. He was a player once. He knows.
Did he listen to his own press conference? If so, did he listen to Drake Maye's press conference saying this will be a gauge for us to see where we're at? Not like we're going to go up there and make a statement.
Yeah,
No, but you're right. And then we skipped over why they won, which is just, again, this is about Drake Maye. And I think that's as much the moment as his performance. But there's no moment as far as winning goes. If, again, the coaches don't do their part, and they absolutely did. To the point, too, of trying to settle him down. Totally different quarterback. I'm sorry, in the second half than we saw in the first one.
Oh,
which is not to discredit him. It's not to be negative. It's to say, honestly, for a guy who struggled with pressure, we rattled off the numbers. To overcome that, in addition to going up against Josh Allen, primetime in the spotlight, and blah, 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 44% pressure rate, that's impressive. You have to let that go. Josh tried to settle him down. Completion for 4 yards to Diggs, 14 yards to Diggs. Check down on play action to Henderson, sack penalty, incomplete crosser, and he's just gone. And that, again, work through it. And they did. And credit to him. Duds, I had Keon. I had Rhamondre Stevenson.
Mm-hmm.
Game like this, I kind of leave it at that. We could go on further. Michael Money with 3 hurries, whatever. That's where I left it.
Yeah, I mean, I put Hawkins. I think they had some problems with tight ends. That wasn't necessarily all on the safeties. There was some linebacker stuff going on there too. But you're right. When you win in Buffalo 23-20 and you do what you did, it should be a small list.
All right. We are coming towards the end. If you have a question and you're watching, you're listening, thank you, first of all, for hanging out. Second of all, if you have a question, drop it in the comments right now, because we're going to get to 5 or 6 after we do a leftover thought / what's next. And okay, let me have it. You're sitting on something. You're absolutely sitting on something. I can't wait to find out. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You didn't the first 2 weeks, which could be mine this week. It was I just got to sit there and listen. Let me have it. Which, by the way, for folks who don't know, is something I heard that I didn't like from Mike, that I wait and set on it saved for the end of the show, and he did the same. Leftover thought, anything else about this game we have not talked about, or next week, or whatever?
To me, just it's what's next is keep the train rolling. Saints aren't a bad football team. I know they're 1-4. They're far from a perfect football team. Some people tried to make the argument before Carolina came in here that Carolina was better than their numbers and record would say they were. I think the Saints have kind of been that. Saints gave the Bills fits last week. The Saints have been in some football games. Look, Giants turned the ball over 5 times, including a couple of just straight up gifts. Jackson Dart just dropped the ball at one point. But in that environment against that team, they got to win. They're feeling pretty good. It's not Carolina traveling up here. You're going down there. So you got to keep it rolling. You can't mess around with one. Don't play with your food on this one. It's Spencer Rattler is the quarterback. Go kick his ass.
Don't play with your food. This isn't my thought, but I just want people to remember, the odds are they're going to lose one of these 3 next games. Okay. Sure. And we could all poo-poo the Saints and certainly the Titans. I'd be shocked that they lose in Tennessee, but the Saints or the Browns, who will come in here, the Browns will, I think, October 26th, would not surprise me. That's how the league goes. It's week to week. We get so certain about ourselves and our teams. And you can be certain at Prize Picks. We would very much encourage you to be certain at Prize Picks, as we are on this show. But the point is, odds are you play 3 games in a row, you're going to lose 1, even if they're those opponents coming up, because sometimes guys just have bad days. My leftover thought is I'm going to miss that stadium.
Oh, yeah.
I told you, I was the roar of the crowd there, which is not to glaze Bills Mafia or everything. The stadium was built in the early 70s, okay? You walk in, and it just goes straight down. And you got bleachers, and concessions are not good, and that's it. But you are in it. You are stepping down with the players, with the coaches. It's there. There's very little separation, sideline to seats, and there's not a bad seat in the house, which everyone says about most arenas, and it's never true. This one's true. Awesome place in the middle of a neighborhood where Doug and I are driving in, and it's just crawling. We are racing people walking by us on the sidewalk and seeing if we can keep up with them. All of the houses we're going by for a mile. Bills sign, Bills flag, Bills poster, Bills whatever. And the new stadium, I'm sure, will be very cool, but it's got a little bit of a roof. Don't like that. I'm just going to miss this place.
I spent a lot of time there for many, many years. And obviously in my years at the NFL Network covering the team as they sort of rose up with Josh Allen and Sean McDermott and all. And it's there's no environment like it. Kansas City's really loud. Seattle's really loud. There's some unbelievably cool stadiums in the league. That is a relic. I'm gonna it's like it's nothing to look at. Like it's
No.
yeah, I mean it's an ugly stadium. Like outside it's ugly, inside it looks like it's kind of decrepit, and they don't have very many amenities and all that stuff. Great place to watch a football game. Great place. I've seen so many great football games there, and that crowd gets as loud, if not louder, than any crowd I've ever been around. So yeah, I'm gonna miss it too.
Cool. All right, let me have it. What do you got?
Oh, there's so many things. First, and this is just because I'm overtired, that right when you came on, I'm like, his face is annoying me today. So I wrote that down.
Then
Then you
I hate how it
me.
looks in this shot and my setup and the
Hey,
camera.
see, now look what you're doing now. You're talking when
Yeah.
you're supposed to be quiet. Lecturing me about not talking about Pittsburgh. I don't want to talk about Pittsburgh. I will talk about Pittsburgh as much as I want to, whenever I want to. Okay. And then twice just poo-pooing possible suggestions about, hey, maybe play Barmore and Farmer together. Maybe play Durden and Williams together. Just throwing it out there. Just some idea. I don't like that idea. So, excuse me. I didn't realize you invented football. All right, I'm done.
I did invent football because they ran the exact defensive game plan I drew up. Okay, no big deal. It's the Pittsburgh thing, and this isn't all your fault, but just everyone brings this up like a week 3 game ever swings a season or a team ever has a ton of turnovers. Like that's something totally atypical or also something that we should forgive. Oh, they just didn't have those turnovers in Pittsburgh. Man, you mess up. If I like almost get somewhere, but instead sideswipe 5 different cars, I'm not like, oh, well, I would have been there on time had I not had these like near accidents all the way down from start to finish. We don't forget that. We don't dismiss that. I do not want to hear about the Pittsburgh game again. These were toss-up games, according to the Vegas, according to the people who watched their first 2 games. We know September football is wacky. The variance is never more important, wider, any of that. Okay, you lost. It sucked. You stunk. Nobody liked that game. It was a bummer. Okay, they fixed it since. Well, whatever happens, if you're 9-8 or 10-7, 11-6, I don't want to hear about Pittsburgh. You had still 14 games after that. I'm done. It's over. We just had this awesome game. People are still like, oh, they just had a turnover against Pittsburgh. Okay, well, let's go back further. It's week 1, which I say is the least telling, least important game every year. You know how many games the Raiders have won since they beat you?
0.
Anyway, it's a little bit about you, mostly about everybody else, but just enough. Let's move on. It's in the past.
I can't wait to somehow lead off next week's show after the Saints game with some sort of tie to the Pittsburgh Steelers game in week 3.
It's annoying. All right, Amit, let's go. Let's
go.
I did 5 to 6 mailbag questions. I'm expecting some running back talk. It is a bummer, man. Antonio Gibson, good dude. Like to talk to him in the locker room. Patrick Bowen, if the Ravens continue their slide and start a fire sale like this, do we make a call on Derrick Henry?
It's crazy, right? Now it's fumbles he had fumbles in 3 straight games, and he's been so unproductive. Like, what was it yesterday? The numbers were terrible. At one point I looked, and it was like 8 carries for 8 yards.
He did get a touchdown, though, I believe.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he's on my fantasy team, but regardless. Thank
God you didn't say that before Let Me Have It, because that.
Hey, it's a freaking family league, for God's sakes. It's my nephews and my kids and all that stuff. Anyway, I don't know that I have that much of an interest in it. I mean, I shouldn't say that. I would have to watch him to see what's going on there, because obviously they're having 1,000,001 problems right now that go far beyond him. Yesterday they played with Cooper Rush. They had to play most of the second half against Kansas City with Cooper Rush. Their offensive line hasn't been as good as it was last year when they sort of like it was a question mark, and they cobbled it together and they played pretty well all season long. I mean, they played very well because Lamar went nuts and so did Derrick. But I would want to watch it because, like he's been a freak. He was a freak in week 1, but like at some point, when does it stop? Is it happening now, or is it this because of all the things that are happening around him?
So I was pulling up his contract, if you cannot tell by my very pensive look for the folks on YouTube. And there are some details in here that are missing, which doesn't mean the information I'm about to share is wrong. It's just a matter of timing and certainly signing bonus payments and guaranteed salary. Derrick Henry has an $11 million guaranteed salary next year. He just signed an extension, and May. First of all, $11 million for any running back is crazy. So I don't think this is going to work contractually, and you can take that whatever way you want as far as Patriots spending money or cap or positional value, blah, blah, blah. But if the Ravens did trade him, there's not really much of a penalty. According to Over the Cap, 6.2, and this would be less, prorated, whatever point in the season we are, it's going to be less than this. Or how much, whatever the next team is going to have to pay. $6 million roughly in dead cap. Cap savings at $2.25 million. That's like, if Patrick says, which by the way, call into a radio station tomorrow. I don't care if it's the Hub or EI or wherever, that you are going to be beloved. They will put you at the front of the line. It's a great radio question. I don't think it'll happen, but to really answer his question, as opposed to just getting it caught up in the contract blah. Yes, hell yeah. I don't care. It's not my money. Like I want to see the giant human being who's going to the Hall of Fame immediately reunited with his coach and to play here. Like that dude I saw in Tennessee in 2019.
Yeah,
joint practice.
about to bring that up.
He did not practice. Okay, I'm looking at a door to my office here. The upper part of his back is as wide as that doorway. Your average standard doorway. That's how big he is as a running back. I'd love to have that person in my life.
He reminded me of his build, and I was there for that. And it was like, he was running on the side, and he had the parachute. He was doing these different drills, but shirt is off. And as I said, if I look like that, my shirt, don't think I'd ever wear a shirt.
Yeah.
But like, he reminded me of Willie McGinnis in just his overall size. Like, humans shouldn't be that large. And this guy is, not only is he that large, he's a freaking running back. He's not a defensive end. He's a running back. He's been awesome. He's one of my favorite players to watch. I love his attitude. I know, obviously, Mike and this entire coaching staff is quite familiar with him and very fond of him. I do wonder, like, are we at the point of no return for him?
It's a diminishing asset. It's expensive. I don't think it'll happen. But I want to see it.
Oh, it'd be fun. Don't get me wrong. I would have a blast with that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right. What do we got next? Cool, genuine Phil. It's a nice adjective. Which running back would you be interested in to see the Pats pick up to replace Gibson? So this is, you threw out Chase Brown.
Mm-hmm.
Our guy Doug has a full list. I have not read that yet. I'll admit I retweeted it without just blindly. I've not read it yet, but he's a thorough guy, research guy. We're about to do the show. You know what I want? Okay, so instead of giving you a specific name, I'm going to give you some guidelines because this is what I'm looking for if I'm looking for a running back. He's going to be he's 26 or younger. He has a high rate of breaking tackles, creating yards beyond the blocking that he's been given. And this is all of the great running backs do. Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, you name it on the way down. What are you giving me more than the blocking affords you? And he's got to be a pass catcher. That's the other piece. Pass protection, whatever, we can figure it out. But I want that guy to be a threat, at least with the ball in his hands. And it's probably a small pool, but maybe it's just a guy who is more traits related. That's fine. But those are my parameters.
Let me give you one. From the same team, Justice Hill.
I'm in, yeah.
Good football player, excellent pass catcher, pretty explosive. Obviously, he's behind Derrick. He's not going to play a ton, but he is there passing down back. 27. I don't know what he makes, but that's a good football player.
I'm going to guess it's not $11 million.
No, I'm guessing he's probably in the $2 million range-ish.
All right, we'll do 3 quick ones here because I can't believe we're still awake and doing this.
This is pretty remarkable.
Yeah, good job by us.
I know.
All right. Maybe Amit fell asleep. That'd be fine. Oh, we got one. Troy. Or no, excuse me, Tony.
We did this.
Oh, yeah, the touchdown that Carlton Davis gave up. Tony wants to know, it looked like he thought someone else should have picked up the receiver. It confusing. Marcus Jones blew that, and that was part of the bumping. Are we switching? Are we not? Marcus Jones blew it. And it was a split-second bad decision, but it's the motion that puts the stress in there. So there you go, Tony. Patrick's back. Question regarding the zone running game. Has it looked a little clunky because of blocking or the running backs not reading the blocks properly? So there's a piece that you omit, and I think that's the answer. I think it's the timing, which is it's a very simple scheme, but it takes so long to master in terms of working next to someone, when to release to go to the second level, how long do you hold your double, if there's movement by the defensive line, which is going to change your covered versus uncovered rules. So, not all the running back reads have been great, but I think there's just a lack of, togetherness and some reps that they're going to need more of this. And if you don't major in that scheme, it's hard to master it.
Yeah, and I would also say, again, I've never felt like that's a Mike Nwenu strength.
Yeah.
So, and he's, when he's right, he's your best run blocker because he's that physical, so there's part of that too. The easy answer here, Patrick, is just bring Matt Patricia back to teach running. It worked so well the first time. You should probably bring him back. You'll see a great uptick. Some team's going to hire him to be their college coach next year.
That was the best offense we've seen in the last 3 years until this year.
I know. Good God.
I guess I am defending him, and if the stats are the stats, but they literally just tried to do a store brand discount version of the Rams. Watch their tape, diagram all the plays. I'm thinking those plays were kind of affected by the defense that they faced. If we saw a different defense, what would we do? What are the rules?
None of that.
We'll figure it out.
We're smarter than everybody else.
Where's he? He's actually doing a good job at Ohio State. I thought I saw one more pop up there.
Gus Edwards. There was a question about Gus Edwards.
Oh, Gus Edwards. Is he cooked?
I think he is. He's also another guy who's always hurt. It's like, now you're going to trade for someone, and then he's going to, his track record has not been good.
Yeah. All right, we are going to start a GoFundMe, and we just need a goal of $11 million to get Derrick Henry in all of our lives for half of a season that will not end in a Super Bowl run, but will just make all of us happier. What's going to make me happy now is going to bed. I think the same is true for you. I have to dig up two stats and a lie here in a second. But anyway, thank you if you are still watching for hanging out. We appreciate the questions. We appreciate the feedback. We will be back every single Monday, live, Mike Giardi Monday, so long as the Patriots are playing football. This is awesome. This game was tremendous. The belief is back. Franchise quarterback is here. I don't think I said that exactly, but I don't know, man. It's nice to be walking with the pep and the step that everyone else I pass in the street will be. Who cares about the Patriots? Even though they win or lose, doesn't affect me. It's just, they got something going here, and that it's real now.
Oh, no question, it's real, and there's a real opportunity ahead to make some serious headway and to do all those things that some people predicted in the off season. It's sitting there in front of them. Hey, maybe we'll be doing the show all the way into February.
Yeah. If you missed earlier parts of the show, subscribe to the YouTube channel @_Andrew Callahan. It's my name. It's right there. Just put a little line in front of it @_ Andrew Callahan. If you're not subscribed, go to the Patriots Press Pass channel as well. And leave us a rating or review on Apple or Spotify. Again, the more feedback you give us, the further we grow, the more cool stuff we can do, like Mike Giardi Mondays. All right, I'm looking forward to your 4-minute monologue at Mike Vrabel on Wednesday about the Saints personnel packages.
Wasn't even the longest question of the day.
I know I've really gone back to this well too many times. So I'm gonna have to be so quick Wednesday, so this does not backfire.
I know I'm gonna be hawking you. I'll be timing you
from the corner, standing as you do in these press conferences. Yes. It's weird. All right, see you Wednesday.
See ya.